Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to cover here in this video. First and foremost, you know what's going on, what's affecting the markets. Markets are down at least a little bit here today. If you're looking at the S&P, you're down 0.2%. If you take a look at the NASDAQ, or really the QQQ, that's the way I like to track the NASDAQ. That's technically the NASDAQ 100. That is down about 0.5%. Now, this situation could get a whole lot worse, and the situation is escalating pretty quickly. So we're going to give you the latest details on this situation with the Israel war, as well as go over AMC stock and what's going on with AMC. AMC did just turn red for the first time today. You're slightly red today was overall, so far at least. The day is obviously not over, but it's been a pretty good day, relatively speaking, for AMC. So we have a lot to get into in a very short amount of time. We're going to run through all of the things we typically do, as well as, I guess I should point this out in the intro of this video. You are seeing a fear bid today, and we'll break down exactly what that means. That is a really bad sign for the markets, actually. So let's get into it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section, guys. So let's start off this video with what's going on, give you an update on this Israel conflict. So the Israel president, Benjamin, he told Biden, quote, "We have to go into Gaza," which makes a lot of sense. I mean, let's play devil's advocate here. What happened after 9/11 for us, if you live in America, referring to us as Americans? We went to their countries for 20 years. So, you know, I don't really care to hear the political side of this. I know there's a lot of people that are divided on this. I don't necessarily care who's divided or who's not. This is just not great. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister also just announced a total blockade of Gaza, which is going to be literally everything, including food, water, electricity. So yeah, they're basically doing the worst thing you can possibly do to a civilization, right? Taking away basically what you need to survive. And that leads me to believe if we're going to see an invasion of Gaza, it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later, considering you can only survive like 3 days with water, and I'm sure they don't have a lot of water rations just laying around. So this situation could develop quickly, and that's one thing that I point to that really is telling me this, at least. Now, take a look at this article. It says, the Israel president is drawing the U.S. into war with Iran. Wow. It says, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin has spent the past 3 decades sounding the alarm about Iran's nuclear program and threatening to attack the country on countless occasions. Most recently, in September, he said in a speech to the United Nations General Assembly that Tehran must face a credible nuclear threat before his office corrected the record to credible military threat. After Hamas' attack on October 7th, Benjamin may finally be able to act on his threats. The gruesome scenes in southern Israel have provoked the Israeli Prime Minister with the necessary pretext and international backing for a wider response. Benjamin has both a political and personal stake in all this. Goes on to say how he's facing corruption charges and basically went from the villain to the wartime hero overnight. Now, Benjamin has not elaborated on the next phases of the war, but he has received the unconditional support of Western governments to do what it takes, as long as it takes, to, quote, defend Israel. It says the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden has gone even further, providing Israel with more arms and ammunition, dispatching its most modern and sophisticated aircraft carrier, the Ford, along with a number of destroyers to the eastern Mediterranean, and beefing up other forces stationed in the region, enough to start World War III. This is not great. For its part, Iran has called the attack a spontaneous Palestinian action in self-defense, but officials have not tried to hide their glee at Israel's misfortune. They have expressed confidence that the attack will deter further Arab, meaning Saudi nationalization with Israel and eventually lead to its downfall. Meanwhile, Iran's ally, the Lebanese Hezbollah, has praised the Hamas operation and engaged the Israel forces in the Israeli-occupied Sheba farms, threatening greater involvement if Israel enters Gaza. So that looks like it's probably a certain, right? Israel is going to enter Gaza, and that's really the door opener, I think, to a much larger problem here. Now, the specific Arabic nationality, the Shia, is most of what you're seeing right now actually fighting Israel. They are the minority, but they are heavily concentrated in Iran. 90% of their population is Shiite. I don't really know how to pronounce these things, okay? Shia is what I got. And then Lebanon as well. They are high population concentrations of Shia Muslims. So this is not great. And especially if there were to be a conflict with Iran, this could break out into a much larger conflict. That's why the markets are down today. Now, the markets are trying to recover as of right now. I think some of this has to do with oil. If you take a look at oil as of right now, it's up, let's see, about 4%. Brent crude is up about 4% as well. Natural gas flat on the day. RBOB gas up 2.5%, and HO up 2.29%. So you are seeing this reaction in oil, even though these countries that are fighting right now, well, technically just Israel and Gaza, right? Hamas, they don't really produce that much oil, but Iran, the Strait of Iran, about 30% of the world's oil passes through that strait, that body of water. So that's what's at the bottom of this spike in oil. If there were to be a larger conflict with Iran, as you guys know, the Wall Street Journal broke this story that Iran was directly responsible for this attack on Israel. Usually Hamas fires like RPGs. They had cruise-guided like missile technology, you know. Put a location on a little tablet, map, or whatever, coordinates, and the thing goes there. Usually, they're not that sophisticated. So that's kind of why everyone, I guess I should say, thought that Iran was behind this to begin with, and it looks like it's all but certain they are. So this does open the door for Israel to retaliate against Iran. That might obviously take a little bit longer, but all bets are off here. I mean, Israel's obviously going to go into Gaza. Does Iran take the first step against Israel? Who knows? Okay, that's the problem, is there's no certainty. So the markets can handle bad news. The markets cannot handle uncertainty. And the escalation you're getting today is creating a lot of uncertainty. Now, if you take a look at some of your safety assets out there, like a TLT, this is your 20-year treasury. The cash open for treasuries, well, it's not open today. So treasuries are actually not being bought or sold today. This move you're seeing is with the futures. So it looks like yields are falling on this today. It looks like people are actually buying the bonds, even though oil was up about 4%, at least at the time of recording this video. So that's where this situation gets even crazier, because lately, really for a long time, we have not seen a fear trade. People buying the bonds because they're fearful about the world or whatever else is going on. You haven't seen that in a long time. And again, even though oil rising is inflationary, you would expect maybe bond yields would fall on this. But if investors are fearing that this could spread and become a much worse event, then seeing bonds up today is not exactly great. Now, if you take a look at GLD as well, GLD, this is the ETF that tracks gold, the SPDR gold shares. Gold is up over 1% today as well, so you are getting a bid here as far as gold as a safety asset as well. The Japanese yen, which is seen as a safety currency, is also rising today. So you are getting some not so great things as far as the flow of money. The flow of money does not look good heading into these risk-off assets. Treasuries, gold, Japanese yen. Those are the things you really want to be watching for. And usually it tells you something to follow the money, because the guys that move GLD or move TLT, they're not retail traders. They're big money. They're potentially even governments that, move these charts around. So that is not great, and that is something that maybe thinks we could see a much larger crash from here. Now, AMC stock, at the time of recording this video, let's go to the charts and see AMC is down almost 1% today. So you are kind of seeing a flip-flop here. If you pull up the 1-minute chart, AMC stock was ripping off of the cash open, and a lot of the markets were kind of ripping in the first, 20 minutes or so of the trading day. You kind of came down, and you're seeing basically the same thing with the S&P happening here with AMC, but AMC was doing much better to that upside. You did get above $9.50 per share at one point today. So that's great, but you need a close above 950. I've pointed out 950 as a very important level multiple times now, because if you really want the next leg higher, you're probably not going straight to $10, right? You need to get above 950, and you need to close above that. 950, a close above that, is going to be higher than your downtrending line of support, in which you've been under that for a while. And again, as you can see right here, you're basically right on that right now. You're very close to 950. You're about 31 cents off of that as of right now. So I'm not going to come out and say that we could see a move like that by the end of the day today. I guess it depends on any developments we get. If this situation does develop further, if Israel does go into Gaza, what Iran has to say about that, what actions are taken by Iran or Israel, does Israel attack Iran? There's a lot of potential uncertainties, and anytime there is 30% of the world's oil potentially at stake, or the risk of a WW3 event, markets are not going to like that, okay? And I've heard a lot of people say that you want to be hedged during this situation, just in case it does continue to really spill over. So if you guys want to come trade with us live in real time, link down below in the description of this video. We are hedging out our portfolios today, and I think that's really the best thing you could possibly do here. Obviously, you don't want to go too crazy with it. Geopolitical problems usually don't affect the markets for all too long, but this does have a direct potential implication to the U.S. as well. If Israel really got into it with Iran, then it'd be shocking if we did not get into it, and there wouldn't be a larger war because of that. Now, if you take a look at the data here with AMC stock, you have 11.62% short interest of free float. Live short interest, about 23 million shares that are currently sold short. We don't have any cost to borrow numbers here. It looks like about 6% still is probably where we're at for the cost to borrow max. Cost to borrow minimum was sitting right here at about 0.5%, and your cost to borrow average at about 1.5%. So not too crazy high numbers. Obviously, we've been a lot higher in the past, but give it some time. I think the cost of borrow fees will trend higher as AMC stock does go higher, and you get more of that volatility premium being factored into the cost of borrow fees. Because again, if you're someone that has held AMC, you're down in your position, unless you bought it $7 per share. If you're down in your position, well, maybe you don't have that high of expectations for AMC stock to make some crazy short-term move. So you're going to, be willing to lend out your shares for a lower cost to borrow fee. So as AMC stock does go higher, I expect cost to borrow fees to also make their way higher. If you take a look at the put to call ratio, you are at 0.75. So you're getting back to the levels you were at really before this court proceeding, before the start of 2023, and this could potentially allow the markets to see an even larger rally. I don't know why I'm yawning. I haven't had any coffee today. I guess maybe that's it, but you really haven't been at this point in a long time, and this is one of the reasons why I do think a big rally is coming, like a multi 100% rally is coming. High 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. That's kind of what I'm expecting here over the next couple of weeks. And that's one reason, obviously. Again, the risk to reward right now with AMC stock at $9 per share does not look great. If you're a short seller in AMC for 2024, your odds of making money are very, very low. And then you also just have a lot of shares that are sold short. You're at a very suppressed level, and you are seeing a lot more bullish options being placed on AMC stock. If you take a look at the Stock Tracker data here today, you did have about 25,000 calls go into the money on Friday, expiring by this Friday. And now you're sitting back down to where we were pretty much before then, at about 25,000 calls in the money. 54,000 calls out the money. In the money puts at 4,000. Out the money puts at 43,367. So, you have more call activity. There is a decent amount of puts out the money, but even when you look at the calls in the money versus puts in the money, you're like 5 times more bullish than the calls, right? You have about 5 times more calls in the money than puts in the money. So I do think this does fuel a larger rally to come. Obviously, this situation is fluid. It's developing. If the situation does get worse, then the markets are probably going to react pretty negatively. Now, if nothing really changes, if Israel does invade the Gaza Strip and does what they do and nothing happens, Israel doesn't attack Iran, Iran doesn't attack Israel, it looks very uncertain that any other major country would. Hezbollah, that could be a big problem. They have a lot of rockets from Iran. That's a situation to be watching in and of itself. But the markets, again, can handle bad news. We can't handle uncertainty. So we just need a little bit more clarity and certainty on potentially what's going to happen next. And once we get that, then you can feel a little bit more confident in some of your positions. But right now, some small hedges do seem to make sense. I don't think, again, this derails the rally that I'm expecting in AMC stock, though. Don't get that confused. AMC stock is back in the green now. It doesn't have to have a huge effect on AMC stock in and of itself. So that's going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Let me know about, specifically how you feel about AMC stock with this conflict and the markets falling. Do you think this is going to be a big negative for AMC as well as the markets? Do you think this is really overblown? The markets are going to get over it? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, guys. So that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.